Good morning, everybody. This is Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I want to say hello to new subscribers. I'm very glad that you're here. I am a North Carolina artist, and a lot of my focus is on paper and making books, although I do other things that I'm hoping one day to work into this channel. I love to make supply books, and this started out as a supply book, but it kind of went crazy as I sat out here in the dark 2 nights ago and worked on this. I ended up binding it, I won't say loosely, but you'll see as we get into it. And I was so inspired by my friend Mary, and I'm going to link her channel below. She sent me a gorgeous journal that was bound with black thread. Now this looks just like regular sewing thread, but it's not. It is button and carpet extra strong, and it really is strong. You can't break it just by pulling on it. So this is bound in 2 ways. The signatures are tied through with this upholstery thread, and they're also wrapped in or tied in just by wrapping strips through the signatures and tying it on the outside with some strips of silk. And Linda, this is from the Sorry Silk you gave me. I love everything you gave me. That you're just so generous, and I appreciate it so much. Linda is someone I get to see locally, which is really nice. This turned into a patient file, and I didn't expect that. You can see patient file at the top. This journal is about a girl who thinks she is a doll, and she's very dangerous. When she was committed, she had this doll in her dress pocket, and you can see the eyes have been messed up, and it's got red paint on the face. Gail, there's one of the copper tags you gave to me. These are awesome, and it was so cool to be able to just take the wire out of the end of this and write with a Sharpie. So DX, of course, is diagnosis, and the diagnosis is psychosis. Here is the key to her room since she's been locked up, an old key, and then this is the key to her medicine cabinet. The doctors and nurses have access to that. There's this little plate on the front with the word Dolly or the name Dolly. And when we get inside, it's just full. There are 70 plus pages in here, 140 plus if you count front and back. This is a photograph from the Scrap Exchange. We have a place where you can just buy other people's photographs. This is not really old, but look at that. It looks kind of ghostly. So I scribbled down here, patient sees ghosts. This, and I want to share this so that you can do this yourself. This beautifully creepy image, I hope you can see the change in her, came from this poster from the Dollar Tree. And I've purchased these in the past, especially when I had a retail store. I would dress it up for Halloween. You can cut right through these. They're heavy, but you know, craft scissors will cut through. So again, from the Dollar Tree, that was $1, and I have several images to use from that. If they have them again this year, I'm gonna be stocking up. So keep your eyes out for those. And here's just a scrap of paper. Love this paper. Obsession with insects and bees. This journal has a lot of scribbling in it. Dolly is obsessed with insects, and she can be very taunting with other patients. So it has old postcards in it. There's another one of these images, and I think it's so cool that this paper came from a vintage book about dreams. And you see, how does your mind go from one body to another? It's talking all about the subconscious mind, which I think is perfect for this journal. Delusional, scribbled here. It's got some really pretty old scrapbook paper. Well, I won't say old. It's not from this year. It's Martha Stewart Halloween paper. So just something I had on hand. This page has scribbled on it, patient admitted with pieces of clothes from victim, scissors in dress pocket, blood on body and clothes, blank look in her eyes, thinks she is a doll, empty soul, dangerous, commit. And we have some more Halloween paper. This is neat. That's actually from a local poster back in 2015. And the images in these posters were really awesome. I did do some distressing in this. There's a piece of clothing from someone. Dolly is constantly bringing home pieces of ripped clothing. So Dolly was free until they figured her out, and then she ended up committed. And this is a file full of things about Dolly. Patient victimized another patient. Used scissors to cut patient. Not sure where Dolly gets scissors from. So Dolly has her ways of being a terror, even while she is committed. That's just a really creepy postcard. That, of course, is from the artist Goya. I have a book with his art, and he has some very graphic, disturbing things. More Halloween paper. Of course, there is Poe. So here's the caveat. Dolly is obsessed with insects, but she is afraid of moths. So even though it's brutal, sometimes the staff has to resort to using moths to get her to calm down or to get back in her room. More creepy images. That again is from a Dollar Tree wall hanging. This is a library card. It says Judgment Day Art. There's a butterfly there. That's a button with a bee on it. And book pages just with some images that tie in. Let's just flip. And old postcards from the Salem witch trials. This is Accusation of a Witch. And this is really neat. I believe this was from a beaded bracelet. It's really pretty. I got it from the Broken Jewelry. And it's just one more thing that Dolly has ripped off of someone and brought home with her, and one of the reasons that she is locked up. This is a piece of fabric with some buttons on it. I've used part of this in the past. It was a really cool old shirt. And let's just keep going. I love this graph paper. The skeleton there. Muscles. And again, there's thread and button from someone's clothing. An old file clip at the top here. And just more ephemera, playing card from the Salem Witch Museum. Piece of paper with some red paint. Of course, that's meant to look like blood. And then here is a card. It was just like a flash card. It's got the snake on it, and I've scribbled, patient may have received snake bite. They're trying to figure out what happened to Dolly to make her so vicious. I love the black butterflies stamped throughout. There's just a couple of scraps of paper and different types of ephemera. I'm not sure. I know that I bought this from the Scrap Exchange, and I think it was from a place that made and sold ephemera. And I really like this set. It was one page that I cut up, so it really ties in. This old paper, it actually looks like it has mold spots in it. This, again, is some old paper that I think I bought it at the Scrap Exchange at one point. And book pages, another postcard with a doll. And there is room. I did not distress the whole book. I did not decorate every page. There's room for you to add and to scribble your own notes. Now, this is interesting. This is also a photograph that I picked up at some point. This man looks like he is coming towards someone with a club in his hand. What does this say? It says Holland, and I don't think that photograph is as vicious as it looks, but for this patient file or journal's sake, we have things in here as we're trying to figure out what happened to Dolly. Why did she turn out the way she did, and who are her family members? So you can see there is a little bit of movement in here. This brings me to a good point. And the pages are not perfectly lined up in here. They're not meant to be. This is meant to feel like a patient file that was built over time, and you can definitely continue the story. Now this postcard, she looks a little affected to me. I did search for this place. If you look this up, I think it's a place that people visited to try to have their dreams or wishes granted. I don't remember the exact location or, that type of thing, but you could look that up. if you wanted to read more about that. This is kind of some fun Halloween paper, but it also illustrates how benign Dolly can appear from the outside, but you don't want to be left alone with Dolly. And okay, so here you can see the pages are bound with the string, and again, it's not super tight, and then you can see where the silk strips are run through the centers. Again, that's from the poster, from the performance, the local performance that I mentioned. More book pages. That is another photograph, and I have no idea where that came from other than I bought it at the scrap exchange. Does have sort of a creepy vibe, or like someone who is lost in their own thoughts. And that's from a vintage print. More old book pages and just things stapled in. So in this, and I think this is kind of cool, there's a partially rusted safety pin. In here, this is a piece of glass. This is not really sharp, and what's fun is that this is a piece of river glass that Jason and I picked up. But Dolly is caught sometimes with pieces of glass or anything sharp that she can get her hands on, and the staff do not know where she's getting these things from, but they do retrieve them and put them in the journal for evidence when they find them. And just going on through, that's a sticker on that page. This is a cool postcard. This is a picture of the catacombs in France. And more stamping, more beautiful paper. This is a vial of what appears to be blood or some substance. That's some copper wire, actually from an electrical cord, and it's just clipped onto this, or pinned onto this piece of fabric. There's more of that ephemera, and a couple more pages from the book about dreams and leaving your subconsciousness, or what subconsciousness is. More ephemera and stamping and the journal pages. You can see this page tore a little bit at the top where that cord went through. That's the way this book is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a messy, old, I'm kind of thinking the date is around 1909, and different things have been added through the years. So it's meant to look old and messy, and you can also see where this thread went through here. I put it through the binding in this spot. Another piece of fabric. There is a library card that says hospitals, psychiatric, and here's a woman with a camera out in the woods. This could be Dolly from later in life when they let her out into the grounds to walk around. Maybe she's older and not quite as dangerous, but you can see she's still maybe wanting to intrude into other people's lives or whatever. This is what finally got Dolly committed. She was found with these scissors in her pocket, and they have blood on them. There's a piece of the fabric from the victim with a little part of an earring that's broken. Just more book pages, more ephemera, and these are steps to a door that looks kind of creepy. Kind of magical, kind of creepy at the same time. This could be where Dolly is kept. That definitely looks like the kind of door this key would fit into. And that's just a neat envelope. See all the faces there. Reminds me of Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit and Gollum and his obsession with the ring. And that's a sticker on that page. More beautiful book pages. This is just a tag that came, it's actually an I Spy card. So that came from a game card. Again, a doll with sort of a vignette pictured there. And I just distressed the back and put this piece of paper and wrote Dolly. This is kind of cool. So this is a CD insert and heavy metal band. I can't remember, is it Metallica? Anyway, with this depth in here, I thought it would be so cool to put another one of the I Spy cards in here and just sew her up in there. So Dolly is trapped as a doll in her own world. And just more pages, more stamping. That's another, that's old postcard, The Witch House from Salem, you know, whatever you want to call it. That looks like illustrations from the 70s to me. You can see how the pages are staggered a little bit. Again, this is meant to feel messy. I love this. This is from a file folder, and you can see where the old label had been on there and fell off and left that beautiful amber color, just that faded color. And then I've written Witch across the top. That is a folder I was actually using to collect ephemera in, and it was Witch ephemera, probably from the October daily last year. And then I think this is really neat. This is not bound in, but it's just put in with the strip of fabric. That's from 1947, and you can see all of the farm equipment. Dolly was actually raised by people who had an old rundown farm, and there were a lot of tools and a lot of things that could be very dangerous, and again, it is not known what happened to Dolly. This is another one of those images from the Dollar Tree. I think you can see how that was changing back and forth. And then underneath is an actual old photograph, and that is little Dolly when she was little. So we get to the back. There's my birdsong fabric stamp, and this fabric is some Halloween fabric I bought last year. I feel like cotton fabric might be harder to find this year. I haven't really been out to Joann's or anywhere. I need to do that. I know a lot of places, and maybe this is dying down a little bit, but for a while everybody was making masks, so you couldn't find cotton fabric. I was lucky enough to have some fabric that I had myself in my stash, and then Sandra sent me some beautiful Halloween fabric. So I have a few masks that I have to wear to work, and mine are really cool because they're Halloween and everybody likes those, or mostly everybody. This is it. Now this, and again, Linda gave me this. This is so awesome. This rips kind of easily. This is not so much, but I'm gonna put in an extra piece of this. You can see that, how that pulls off. That just makes it even more cool. This is just, I love this. But I'm gonna put in an extra piece or two just in case your tie breaks and you want to be able to replace that. Anyone who knows me or knows my channel or has been around for a while, you know that, can you hear the squirrels running across the roof? You know that I feel like when something tears, rips, you don't like it, breaks, falls apart, it is just a chance to repair it and make it even better. Human touch, the efforts of artists, evidence of work having been done, those things are so beautiful to me. I love utility. I love objects that are beautiful but also have a very necessary purpose. So I will put in an extra piece of that silk just in case this breaks. And this is in the shop right now. I love this. You're gonna see more patient files coming along. That is definitely a fact. I wish I had more time to create, but I do have to work, and then this is my fun work. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being here, and I will be back really soon. Bye for now.